Welcome to Travel Chicks, where we talk travel, transformation, and inspiration. My name's Melissa. I'm the founder of Travel Chicks, and I want to let you know that it may be me, it may be one of our other travel chicks, but welcome on board this adventure. Please, if you love what you hear, like it. Leave a review and share this with your friends. We need to inspire more people to create their own travel story. In today's episode, I am super thrilled to have one of our very own travel chicks, Jacqueline. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
So we're here today to discuss Spain, and here's why. Jacqueline just got invited by the Tourism Board of Spain to take off on an epic adventure to Spain, and not your typical, destinations that a traveler would venture off to. These destinations that she got to experience firsthand, you're going to hear about, and it may be after hearing, it may be something that you may want to check out in Spain. And so, Jacqueline, how about you share just an overview of the 7 days that you just experienced in Spain? Just kind of give the viewers and listeners an idea of what else is available to Spain other than, the top spots like Barcelona and, Madrid and things like that. So take it away.
So I had only ever been to Spain once before, and I hit those two. Everyone kind of tends to go to Barcelona and Madrid. Those are the two I think that people are most knowledgeable about. So we were in Seville and Valencia. And I will say they were both amazing. They're very, very different. I don't think that people realize how varied the terrain and the weather and everything is in Spain. I was even surprised. It varies from, up in the north, it's very rainy, very green, very lush, all the way down to the Mediterranean, where you've got those beautiful beaches, and it's like just those vibes of like, yeah, it's just very different. So I loved both of it, but I will say that if I had to choose one to go back to, I think it would be Valencia. I fell in love with Valencia when I was there. It was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And would you say there's a better time of year to travel to Spain?
I will say I probably would not go in June again. It was very warm. Now, I mean, if you're going and you're wanting to be there and just do a beach vacation, and you're going to be on a boat and you're going to be doing that kind, I think it would be okay. It was about 40 degrees when I was there. So it was a little toasty. So it was a little hot when you're walking around and seeing all the sights. So I think, more of like a shoulder season would be a better idea, going in like October, November. The weather is still going to be beautiful. It's still going to be warm, but you don't have those extreme high heat.
Mm-hmm. So just for all of you listening out there, another idea, just as Jacqueline said, June is like super duper hot. So perhaps, and it's really busy. Europe in June, July, and August are high seasons. So maybe something you want to consider even for next year is April, May. Because I think those times of years would be very temperate and doable and not so busy.
For sure. I'm a big fan of traveling in a shoulder season just for less traffic and, good weather. Not too hot, not too cold.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Well, why don't we talk about all these different cities and places that you got to visit?
Yes. So the very first place, like I was saying, that we went to was Valencia. And kind of a really cool thing about the city was they have thousands and thousands and thousands of orange trees throughout the city. So it smells absolutely incredible when you're just walking the streets, and it looks beautiful. I feel like a lot of our cities here, you don't have all that greenery and it's so lush. And anyway, so that of it was beautiful. Now, these are not edible oranges. So they do sometimes ship those off to England. They're actually one of the biggest exporters or importers to England of oranges. And they make marmalade, which is a very British thing, but they use Spanish oranges.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So I love the fact that they had these beautiful, beautiful, I mean, honestly, and I was very, very impressed with how clean all of the streets were. It was I don't think I saw one piece of garbage anywhere. Everything was very, very tidy, very immaculate, very beautiful.
Just a random question. Here in Canada, we can go to some major cities or even the United States for that matter.
Mhm.
And we seem to see a lot of garbage and, tents and homelessness and kind of poverty stricken areas.
Yeah.
What's the situation of that in Spain where you visited?
Like there is a little bit of it, but I will say it's definitely not to the extent. I think they have a better system in behind it to care for those people. We obviously didn't have time to learn about everything, whether it's a very brief overview and we're seeing and learning things about the country. But you definitely don't see, at least not where we were, the tents and different things like that. And yeah, like I said, there's no garbage everywhere. Nothing makes me sadder than when you're walking down and you see garbage and people who just don't seem to care about, the city and whatnot. So I was pleasantly surprised by that, of how beautifully kept it was.
Cool.
Yeah. Another beautiful place that we got to discover was the Real Alcazar. This is it's still used by the Spanish royal family. So it's still an active. It has been used for filming in Game of Thrones, which is kind of cool. And it's really neat because you see the connection between like the Christian and the Moorish. And it's really a combination of all that history. There's just thousands and thousands of years of history there. And you see that in the architecture and they blend together so well. So I really feel like if you have somebody who's interested in that, it really is kind of an architect's dream, a city to go and see all this, the history, and it's just magnificent.
Neat.
Yeah.
And this is in Seville.
This is in Seville. Yeah, we're still in Seville. I have just a few like key things that I wanted to show about that kind of highlight each place. And then flamenco actually originated in Seville. And people there are very, very passionate about it. And it is quite a sight to see when we were able to witness a dancer. We went to their school there and we were able to learn how to play I don't remember the name, but they have these like square drums that you can kind of play. So they gave us kind of a quick lesson on that. And that was really neat. So it's very, very interesting to see, how passionate and how integrated this is into the history of the city and how the people are so proud of their heritage.
Awesome.
This was also very cool. The nickname for this is Las Setas, which means mushrooms or the mushrooms. So it's a giant wooden structure that they have up above, kind of in the middle of the city. And you can go up on top and they have these beautiful pathways that you can walk all over. I actually didn't even realize while I was walking that this structure was made out of wood until later. So you would think that it was made out of metal or iron and something like that. Yeah, it's all made out of wood. So it's a beautiful place to go to be able to see wonderful views of, we got to see the sunset up there and just the overall, get a great feel for the city. So I would highly recommend that if anyone is going there, you should definitely go and see this. It's really striking. Yeah. And then from there, we moved on to Valencia. It was a very short flight, I think just over an hour. And Valencia kind of has my heart. I absolutely would go back here in a heartbeat. The city, again, it's beautiful. The people are wonderful. We had an amazing tour guide who showed us around the city, and it was incredible. One of the big things from there, from all over Spain, is tapas. The Spanish do not like to eat dinner until very late at night. So that was definitely an adjustment when I was there, because I think the earliest we ate dinner was 9:30.
Wow.
And we were eating more often at like 10:30. One night, I think it was 11. So very different than our Canadian, we're going to have dinner at 5 and then, bedtime's at 9.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the tapas to kind of at dinner time, basically. To kind of tide you over. They tend to have their lunch later at like 2, maybe 3. And then around 6, 7, you can have your tapas, which just gives you a little bit of a snack to kind of carry you through. And then you have your dinner later on at night. But this is like it's very much cultural. People get together, they visit, they have a glass of wine, they eat the tapas, they share it. It's very a family style too. So if you go out to a restaurant and you're ordering tapas, they'll place everything out on their table, and then everyone just eats off the same plates. Like, it's not, again, like here where you get your dish and then they'll hand out little side plates and, it's all very family oriented, very communal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
what about when you're traveling around? It's Spain. So is there a lot of English translation, or is a lot of stuff in Spanish?
I feel like there was, I think everything that I didn't notice anything that I'm like, oh, I can't read that when I'm thinking back. So I feel like there was a lot of translation. Obviously Google Translate comes in super handy if you ever do have an issue, but I feel like there was, definitely an English description for most, especially the bigger things that you're going to do, or if you're in a restaurant and different things like that, so that you didn't have to worry about that. And I found that most people spoke English. Like, there really wasn't a language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see maybe if you go to smaller cities, it might be that way, but I feel like a lot of the larger cities, it really is not the language barrier that it may once have been. We also pay. I always say this wrong. Paella, which I butchered the pronunciation of that, it was invented in Valencia. It's now been adapted all over Spain, and everybody has their own version of it. So the traditional version has rabbit and snails in it. So we actually were able to take a class. They thought, this is a picture of the one that we made, and they thought that the traditional might be a little bit too out there for us. So we just had ours with chicken, which I'm actually a little bit disappointed that we didn't get to try the traditional. I am all for trying something once, It was amazing. It was so good. I would travel back there just to eat that. It was incredible. So they have that, again, like in all different regions, it kind of varies. So on the coast, you're going to have like more seafood heavy. And then if you go inland, you're going to have like more heavier meat rich dishes. So what started in one area has then been pulled into other regions, and then everyone has their own interpretation of that, which is kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing, they're very, very, very big on gastronomy. It's a huge part. Food is a huge part of the Spanish people. And this is the Mercado Central, and it is the largest food market in the world, and one of the oldest. It is beautiful. There's over 1,000 stalls there. So we spent about an hour just wandering up and down. You see everything from your meats to your seafood to your tapas to they sell saffron. I was lucky enough to buy some Spanish saffron there, which is considered the best in the world. Yeah, and in the middle there, you can see that's the ceiling of the building, which in itself is so beautiful. Like you wouldn't think to go into a food market. And then you look up and there's just this stunning focal point in the middle of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So absolutely beautiful. I think that's my favorite thing is just how picturesque and how elegant everything was.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it sounds like really you could get lost in this market for a day.
Absolutely. And it was kind of nice because I love that they separated the seafood area had its own wing. So like you weren't walking in and the whole place smelled like seafood, which can happen, right? When you've got that. So they had like the seafood wing. We had a delicious cup of coffee there. You know, you could just wander. There was all this fresh produce. Everything's fresh. Everything's local. Yeah, very different. And this is where the people of Valencia shop for their food.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they don't shop at a superstore or a Walmart?
No, I mean, they do have grocery stores, but I mean, yeah, like this is a traditional, that's where people go.
Mm-hmm.
Very much a part of their daily life.
Well, and really, I think it's just that European lifestyle. It's like you have your cigarette with your croissant and coffee at the, in the morning, and then you kind of walk the streets, and then you go buy your fresh French baguette and,
Mhm.
your cheese and your meat. Like it just seems like that's almost like the way of life there.
Yeah, they very much do tend to, whereas here we go shopping and we get everything for like a week or 2 weeks of groceries. There it's like every day they're like, what am I going to make? And then they go out and buy those groceries every single day, just enough for dinner. And then that's what they have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just very, very different.
Such an experience.
Yeah. So that's kind of just a brief overview. I mean, we honestly saw so much there. Beyond that, we actually we took a boat, we went down the coast, we saw smaller towns. Yeah, I mean, I think if anyone was ever looking to retire, I think that area, that region would be absolutely incredible if you were looking for, kind of an expat situation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much to see. I definitely want to go back and I would love to explore the northern region.
So let's just revisit. So the cities you went to were Valencia
And Seville.
and Seville. Okay. So these two destinations are something I think are very unique destinations. I mean, I've heard of Seville before, but never really explored it. And so the whole conversation today was to open your eyes about the different things, sites and things that you can see. Off the top of your head, is there any other sites kind of not to miss that you didn't show in your or talk about in your presentation?
I'm trying to think.
There was one point that you shared with me when you got back, something that was really fascinating, especially for those foodies out there, is you had shared something about it being the largest mecca of 5-star Michelin restaurants.
That is in the northern region.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, but Spain, over in the northern region, the Basque country has the highest concentration of Michelin star restaurants. They are very, 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 the food scene is huge there. So if anybody is a foodie, I mean, that is the place to go for sure. Yeah. Cool. So different area, but very cool. One cool thing, I obviously didn't get to see it, but our guide told us about this. In Valencia, they have a festival. It's called Las Fallas. So they build these giant, elaborate wooden sculptures, like huge, huge. You can look them up online. It's very neat. And it can be like people can create something that like they're upset about or whatever. That's what they kind of tend to do is it's like, things that they're upset about or they're mad about or they're whatever. And then they have this giant festival and they bring them to the center of the city and they light them on fire. And so they have so he showed us it's all marble on the ground. They have this huge, huge bonfire. He said there is, they string up like firecrackers. He said the buildings shake. And they're actually limited by, they only have a certain percentage of gunpowder that they can use for it. Otherwise, he said every year a few windows do explode, but they try to mitigate the damage to the buildings.
Oh, wow.
That would be kind of an epic thing to go back and see at some point.
Yeah, I've never heard of that, but it sounds really, really cool.
Yeah. So I think there's we just saw a small part of both cities. And there's so much more I think that you could explore in both places and in the rest of Spain that I think it's a very up and coming fantastic place to visit. I would highly recommend, and I can't wait to go back again.
Amazing. Well, Jacqueline, thank you for sharing your experience of Valencia and Seville today, and we'll chat with you in the near future.
Awesome.